It is ordained in the eternal constitution of things that men and women of intemperate minds cannot be free. Their passions forge their fetters. With today being Black Friday, I thought it would be a good time to revisit some wisdom from Edmund Burke. How many of us have known that person who couldn't just let it go? That person whose continual obsession with injustice commanded them to make every one of us listen to them rant on and on about how things could be better because they weren't perfect. People are out now seeking the best way to spend their dollars for the big holiday coming up. With inflation, of course, it's going to be far more difficult, but the idea has not changed. The value systems are the key. Edmund Burke went on to say men and women are qualified for civil liberty in exact proportion to their disposition to put moral chains upon their own appetites, in proportion as their love to justice is above their rapacity, in proportion as their soundness and sobriety of understanding is above their vanity and presumption, in proportion as they are more disposed to listen to the counsels of the wise and good, in preference to the flattery of knaves. It's about what people really value. And you can tell what people really value by watching them. Who remembers the story from years and years ago? This rock and roll artist, beach-going surfer dude, I believe out in California, was bragging about how he was living large off of welfare and food stamps. A receipt was found where there were lobsters and steak being purchased using food stamps. This guy, of course, earning a ton of cash under the table, playing his guitar, driving an Escalade, living his dream life, all on taxpayer money. In fact, he even admitted, I don't even need the food stamp card. That's why I used it for lobster and steak. It's my treat. See, it had to do with the value system. And some might think, well, gosh, he made that much money under the table. He should have been doing all right. Why would he need to go through all this? Because he could. You see, he didn't value it. His internal sense of morality didn't exist. There was no little voice in his head saying, this is wrong. We've all seen this image. People, you go and they have these jammed full refrigerators full of basically advertising boxes. Oh, there's food inside, don't get me wrong. But it's basically advertising boxes. And that's really what it boils down to. Why they want so many to be slaved to their passions, so to speak. There are some people that think having a food stamp card is a sign that you're doing something right. A sign that you're oppressed. And that it's the government's job to ride to the rescue. That's why they're so easily accepting of all of the government mandates. Some people scratch their heads. How could people accept all of this? Well, because they've learned to believe that the government is their friend. Why? Because of all the free stuff. See, free to them has value. Because then they can take their money and go do other things with it, usually purchase marijuana or alcohol or some other type of entertainment. And that's the vast majority of the cases. Now I'm going to turn the page here for a minute. Most of you know recently we've talked about the Patriot nurse and YouTube banning her for a certain amount of time from uploading videos and taking down certain videos and demonetizing other videos. You see, this would be a great opportunity for conservatives to show what they really value. And many of you have. Case in point. I did a video where I talked about how she started when this all happened at 1,592 patrons at her Patreon page. That's where people go and contribute a small amount each month to give her the ability to basically divorce from the advertiser revenue paradigm that YouTube has created. So 1,592, I believe, 3 days ago. And then, within a matter of days, I think it was 1 day, 1,623. 31 just in 1 day. And that was 2 days ago. And now today, 1,641. So almost 50 people. Almost 50 people out of 472,000 that subscribe to her have had that wake-up call of value. That wake-up call of what value really is. And this will be the key going forward. People, oh no, censorship. Oh no, we can't see this and can't see that. Of course you can. You just have to learn how to value it. And she shared something here that I thought was important. There's a new terms of service at every 6 months or so. YouTube changes its terms of service. But there's something in it that many miss about these new policies about things you can and cannot say. And I'll read verbatim from their policy. The policy applies to videos. Okay, that makes sense. Video descriptions. Okay. Comments. Yes, that means people say, Florida Maquis, it seems like a lot of comments get redacted on your videos. You're darn right. You're darn right they do, because you know what? You're not responsible for them. I am. See, somebody could go to a video that I made, say, 3 years ago on Antarctica, and they could start a little thread, a little comment thread, talking about something that's totally prohibited on YouTube. And unless I'm checking all of my comments everywhere, that comment thread could get that video taken down and me demonetized and kicked off, even though I had no idea it was going on. That's why I do this. Because they hold creators responsible for the comments they allow. So what's the answer? It's real simple. When you throw things behind paywalls, the people that would want to go review it, to report it, and that's really the case. And let me be very clear. The vast majority of videos that get demonetized or get channel operators in trouble are brought to the attention of YouTube by other users. It isn't people employed by YouTube doing it. They don't have enough people to go through all of the billions of videos. It's busybodies. So when you start throwing things behind paywalls, even $1 a month paywalls, the busybodies aren't going to pay. Some say, but Florida Maquis, there's a place called Rumble, and you can go there. Rumble is based in Canada. And what do we know about Canada and their government restrictions? And besides, even in their own advertisement, which is here, they admit what they do, that they decide what gets seen and doesn't. And I'll read from this article. As the immensity of YouTube makes it impossible to manage content-wise, Rumble fills a gap in the video sharing industry with what Pavlovsky, one of the founders, calls their quote-unquote secret sauce, Rumble Rank. This algorithm basically allows them to sort through what content is quote-unquote good or quote-unquote bad, comparable to the way PageRank evaluates which web pages should be in the top search results to help media companies easily find highly shareable content. Quote, we decide which videos are highly shareable and which videos to license and manage. And a lot of our partners, which rely on us for content, can't do that. See, they don't care how many views it gets. They don't care whether it's the truth or not. They're doing the exact same thing, and they've buffaloed a bunch of people into thinking there's some kind of an alternative when it's the exact same thing. But the real truth, time is more valuable than money. You can always get more money, but you cannot get more time. And that's what really goes on here on this platform. You take the time to put things together in a concise way for people so that they can see it clearly without all of the muck that the mainstream media does, without all the interruption and all of the opinion. Because you'll never know the value of really anything until you've worked hard for it. In this particular case, money. Nobody who's ever worked for $141 and some odd change, I think this was $141.78 over here, would really consider taking that and buying lobster and steak. Maybe in a once in a while on a great occasion, anniversary or a birthday or something. But I think most people of a moral sense would never do it on somebody else's dime. Money. Do not value for any more nor any less than it's worth, because it's a good servant, but a terrible master. So, anyway, I'll just leave this there. And a good analogy to this is junk mail. See, people are so used to seeing this garbage in their mailbox that it goes right through their hands and right in the trash. Those who have fireplaces are smart enough to open it up and rip it up and use it for fire starters, but that's about its only real use. 99% of what ends up in that box that people pay so much for, the U.S. Postal Service, trucking around garbage and fire starters, basically. See, people never ask about this. This is far more wasteful than the food stamp program ever was, but nobody really sees it. So, if anything like this would ever happen to my channel, by the way, I know this is a giant blank white screen and it's that way for a reason. This is my Vimeo channel. Now, Vimeo does actual video hosting, unlike Patreon. So I don't have any content up here yet. But if it ever got down to it, I would have to go to Vimeo. And this would be the only place. And of course, it would be for us in this particular case, it's a certain amount per video. And that's why, I don't have anything here yet. But this is the reality of where we're going. Patriot Nurse started 10 or 11 years ago, before anyone could have foreseen what we're going through now. And, I started 5 years ago, right before the big censorship and demonetization wave hit. And so I got in just under the wire. And with content that has kind of varied from Antarctica to Venezuela to the issue with the Fitzgerald. And then we did the thing with Ebola. And then now in Florida, it's probably kind of confused their children at YouTube a little bit. But make no mistake. Make no mistake, when a channel like the Patriot Nurse comes under this level of an assault, it's likely, very likely, that it's someone out in the real world reporting her content to them. Because she's been around for a long enough time that if they really had a problem with her in San Bruno, they would have taken her down by now. So this is what's really going on. So support the Patriot Nurse, I guess, is the larger message here. Because it's a bigger argument about value. It's a bigger argument. And many of you have. 50 people so far in not even really 4 days have stepped up. So God bless. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe. And we will see you guys next time.